Everyone. My name is Marek Olszewski, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the co-founders of Celo. And today we're going to be talking about FiatConnect and how it's helping us scale on and off ramps. If you don't know me, you can find me on Twitter at Marek_. I have a really long last name, and so I tried to make it really easy for you guys, and I just replaced it with underscore. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to start with a question for you. I wanted to see how many of you here are using crypto for payments on a regular basis. How many people are buying their coffees, paying for taxis, buying anything online? Any hands in the air? Is there anybody here who's, oh, Shinju's got her hand up. We got one over here in the front. I frequently do use crypto as well. Anybody else? Oh, two more over there. So we have 4 people out of, I don't know, 50 people who use crypto regularly for payments. And I don't know about you, but that makes me sad. And I think it also probably makes Satoshi sad, shown here in the form of a very sad cat emoji. Because crypto, right from the get-go, was supposed to be all about payments, right? Like the original Bitcoin white paper talked a lot about payments. I think a lot of folks in the Ethereum ecosystem talk about ETH being money and being useful for payments. And yet, here we are, 4 people only raise their hands. And so why do you guys think that is? Any ideas? Anyone want to wager a guess? Anybody who didn't raise their hand, what do you think? Yes, over there in the back. Merchants are afraid to accept crypto. That is a good reason. And I think there's certainly some truth to that. Any other guesses? Yeah. On and off ramps are expensive. That is another good guess, and I think also a true statement. And I think if we go back in time a little bit, the reasons that folks were giving were a little different, right? Like I think in the past we used to always hear, oh, blockchains are not scalable enough, right? Like we just don't have enough block space for payments, and luckily that is no longer a reason, right? Like it can't be that blockchains are not scalable enough. We also heard back in the day, before USDC, before Tether, that crypto wasn't good for payments because it was volatile, right? But luckily we have stable coins now, so stable coins are no longer a reason, so it can't be that. Address-derived addresses were also commonly talked about as being a really bad UX for normies, but now we have a whole bunch of new identity systems, right? We have ENS, we have on Celo, you can actually send money to phone numbers, you can register your phone number with an address. So it's no longer these identity systems. In the past, people said it was just too hard, right? Wallets were difficult to use. They weren't as easy to use as they are now. And I would argue that wallets have gotten good enough now. And so it can't be that wallets aren't good enough now. And this is maybe a good opportunity for me to do a quick plug for a company that I work for, Valora, which is a really easy to use mobile wallet. If you are curious about a really easy-to-use mobile wallet where you can send value to phone numbers and pay for gas with tokens, definitely check out Valora. You can see here in the back that the 2 primary actions that we encourage people to perform is actually send and request. So it's really focused on this payment use case. Cool. So why is it then? I think we got a lot of really good guesses, and I think I generally agree with both of those. And I think maybe to summarize it, I think ultimately one of the issues is it's just too hard to cash in and out, right? Like the fees are too high. For merchants, it's too difficult, so that makes them wary of accepting it. And I think ultimately The issue is one around cash in, cash out. If we can make it easier to cash in and out, then we can be in this transition period where we're working towards this infrastructure inversion, which will ultimately flip payments to be done on public blockchains instead of in the traditional financial rails. A lot of people are excited for that future. They're predicting that future. But to get there, we need to be in this transition period. And to do that, we need to make cashing in and out much easier. And I think it's important for us to solve this because this is the future that we want, right? Raise your hand if this is the future that you want. All these people rushing to your dApps, to the house of Web3. Yes, I want this future too. It's an exciting future, right? Like, this is what we're building towards. But sadly, this is not what we have today. This is what we have. The 4 people who raised their hand earlier, we get to have all the fun. But all our normie friends, all of the folks who aren't using crypto right now on a day-to-day basis, they're, not having this fun. And that looks like fun. I don't know about you. Cool. So, and you might be saying, well, cashing in and out, it's possible. You can use exchanges. Why do you need something better? And I would argue that, for most normies, if you want to get to that crowd, this crowd is not going to be using exchanges. And I would also argue that that crowd is probably also not going to be using on and off ramps that are integrated into wallets and dApps the way that the Transacts and the Ramps and the MoonPays and the Wire type on and off ramps are currently integrated. These are all really great services. I'm actually a really big fan of them, but they tend to be services that look distinct from the actual wallets and the actual dApps that people are using. They tend to require an extra login. They're probably too complicated for your typical normie friends to really be able to kind of cash in and out of their wallets really easily. So I think we need something better. And so the question is, what do we need? Well, I would argue that we want native on and off ramping in every wallet, in every country in the world, right? Like, let's imagine that in every wallet that you have, in your pocket, on your phone, you can connect that to a bank account easily with a native experience without going through a web view, without using an iframe, without having to create an account on a third party. You just connect your bank account to your wallet, and you can on and off ramp, and that experience exists in every country in the world, right? I think we can all agree that if we can accomplish this, that would be something that would be pretty exciting for Web3. And not only would it be great for Web3 and dApps, but it would also be like incredible for just sending payments around the world, right? We could live in a world where you could send money to anyone, right? We kind of already live in that world, right? You can send crypto to anyone in the world. They can custody it with a self-custodial wallet. But the thing that's missing right now is this immediately available for use piece, right? Like, we can send money to everyone in the world knowing that will be immediately available to use. If we can solve this, that's going to have a profound impact on, I think, society, on the world, certainly on Web3. And if you think about it, right, like, we used to live in a world where you couldn't send a free text message to anyone in the world. And now, like, thinking back to a time when, pre-WhatsApp, it's kind of strange, right? Like, now it's just so obvious that you can communicate with everyone in the world instantly on their phone for free. And it wasn't that long ago, and that wasn't possible. And so the same will happen with payments. But to get there, we need to make that value be immediately useful. And for that, we need on and off ramps. So how do we get there? Well, if you're a wallet, maybe you integrate with a ton of on and off ramps, right? Like, everywhere, on and off ramp, integrate, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Valora's been doing this. We've integrated with 12 on and off ramps plus. Usually these are bespoke APIs with these WebView experiences. Every market that there's a new on and off ramp, we go out, we try to integrate it. And we're not the only ones, right? I'm sure you've seen your wallet of choice has an on and off ramp, maybe even multiple on and off ramps that they've integrated with. Everyone is integrating with everyone. And this takes real effort. And if we want to get to that future where we have this available in every country in the world, then there's a lot of countries in the world. That could potentially mean hundreds of integrations, right? Because to offer a great experience, you want to integrate with an on-off ramp that has certainly the local licenses, but also the local connection to local financial rails, right? So you can actually cash in and out for cheap, so you're not wiring money across borders. That can be expensive. That means that you'll be integrating with very local on and off ramps in every country in the world. There's going to be many of those on and off ramps. And integrating with many, many, many on and off ramps, I don't know about you, but when I talk to my engineers, that is generally not what gets them excited to wake up every morning and get to work, right? Integrations, maintenance, hundreds of these things. Generally, that makes them grumpy. And so we want to do away with grumpy engineers. Obviously, we want to make things simple. And so how do we solve this? Well, coming back to this diagram, the answer might be pretty obvious, right? Like there's this many-to-many spaghetti mess in the middle, right? Like, can we simplify that? Can we make this much easier? And the answer is absolutely. Let's put something in the middle that everything communicates through. That is one way that we could, solve this. Let's move to a hub and spoke model. And so FiatConnect, as you've probably guessed by now, is the hub in this hub and spoke model. It sits there nicely in the middle. It really is designed to solve this problem and to help us get to this world where you'll be able to send value to anyone in the world and they'll be able to immediately be able to use it. And so what concretely is FiatConnect? The way that I like to explain it to people is it's kind of like the wallet connect of on and off ramping. It's designed to connect wallets and dApps with these hundreds and hundreds of on and off ramps that are going to be coming online and are already coming online around the world. It's API based, so the wallet and the dApp itself gets to control the UX 100%. And so it's a backend API, and if you think you have the best design for on and off ramping, then you're welcome to implement it. And then you can use FiatConnect on the back end to actually execute the caching in and the caching out. But you don't have to rely on others to build these experiences. And you can have one experience that is the same for everyone, regardless of where they are around the world. And critically, once you've integrated this once, adding a new on and off ramp becomes just a configuration change. There was a comment about how on and off ramping is expensive. One way to make it cheaper is to get more competition. To create more competition, we want to make it easier for people to integrate new on and off ramps that are coming to the market. And so FiatConnect can help with that. I mentioned already that this allows wallets to have full control over the UX. FiatConnect also supports, it has all of the compliance support that you would need and expect. On and off ramping is obviously a very highly regulated service that these on and off ramp companies provide, and so compliance is very important. So FiatConnect supports letting the wallet or the dApp collect the identity information of the user, maybe do a liveness check, and then with the user's permission, share with the on and off ramp so they can do the compliance screening that they have to do. And critically, it enables you to do this once, and then you can share your data with multiple of these on and off ramps as you're using them, so you don't have to keep collecting your KYC, you don't have to keep scanning your face, uploading your driver's license. You do that once, and then the wallet can share that again with all of the different on and off ramps that you might want to use. And so that's a really nice UX win. So if you're interested, if you're a developer and you want to hear more, learn more about FiatConnect, definitely check out fiatconnect.org. That's the website for the open source project. It is an open source project. There's no company behind it. And so you can also check out the GitHub for it, which is linked to from this website. And normally, this would be the end of my talk. But there's only one problem with that. And I think that's really well demonstrated by this slide. Who's seen this slide before? It's an XKCD slide. So there's a problem with standards, right? Like lots of people are very opinionated on how things should work. And people say, oh, this is broken, we need to fix it, let's create a new standard. And then they do, and then suddenly we have one more way of having to do something. And instead of actually solving the problem, we've just made it more complicated. And this is a real problem that we want to overcome. And so we've been working really hard to form a Schelling point around FiatConnect to really make it the standard that everyone adopts. And so hopefully you can help me go and evangelize FiatConnect and make it the standard. I think otherwise we're just going to have a more complicated time integrating on and off ramps with one more way of doing so, ultimately preventing us from getting to kind of that world with that big crowd of people coming in that we're all working towards. In addition to all of us in this room going out there and helping make this to be the standard, the Celo Foundation launched Connect the World, which is a public goods funding competition. It was launched last year with $20 million of incentives. And so the idea is that folks would compete to become the first on and off ramp in any market out there, any country out there, to launch their service with FiatConnect support. And if you are the first, then you get a slice of this $20 million. And that's been really great. That's incentivized a lot of on and off ramps to go out there and start launching in various markets. And I'm super happy to share that FiatConnect is now live and implemented by a number of wallets and on and off ramps. Just earlier this year, Valora celebrated the launch of 3 markets, Nigeria, Kenya, and the Philippines. That was really exciting. And so in those markets at the time, you could actually on and off ramp with a native experience in the wallet in those markets. So you wouldn't have to leave the app. You wouldn't have to create a new account anywhere. It was just a pure native experience. And since then, 9 more markets have come online, which is pretty cool. And so FiatConnect is now live in 10 markets throughout Africa, and then India and the Philippines as well. And so this is where we are now, which is a pretty great start. But as you can see, there's a lot of gray still. But luckily, this competition is spurring a lot of companies to launch their on and off ramps. And so we're seeing more and more on ramps coming online. And this is what the map will look like, hopefully very, very soon, if I were to guess based on kind of all the activity that I'm seeing out there. So that is pretty cool. And, this is now live, and so it has real users. And when you have real users, you can actually get quotes from those users. And so we went out there and we started talking to people and asking them what they thought of the experience that they now have within Valora. And we got some pretty good ones. So Philip from Ghana was pretty stoked that they could cash out to their mobile money account. So FiatConnect supports multiple schemas, not just transferring to a bank account, but in countries where mobile money is popular, you can connect your mobile money account with your wallet. And so Philip is able now to cash out directly into mobile money in Ghana, which he really, really enjoyed. Rachel in Kenya was previously using a P2P exchange. Those are pretty common in a lot of markets, but she was very happy to be able to cash out without having to go and trust some third party to facilitate one of these P2P exchanges. And so she was pretty stoked by that. And then Emmanuel had what I think is probably one of the best quotes that we received. It's really, really profound. So let me know what you think. He said, FiatConnect is very, very okay. And I think that's profound because when you think about it, on and off ramping should just work. It's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be complicated. It shouldn't require a lot of steps. It should just be reliable and work and ultimately just be something that's in the background that is ultimately very, very okay. And so we were really stoked to see this quote. We think we ultimately did a good job given the sentiment. We also got a quote from an engineer, which I think you guys might appreciate. So when Valora added Ghana to their list of markets that supported FiatConnect on and off ramping, they needed to make a one-line change in a configuration file. It was very easy to do that, and that made our engineers very happy. They were not grumpy cats, and this was quite something that the team really celebrated. So we were pretty excited about this. So just to wrap up, you know, what's I think cool about FiatConnect is, you know, we're really one step closer to this kind of vision that we were talking about earlier. You know, not only will we hopefully soon be able to live in that world that we talked about, you already live in a world where you can send money really easily to anyone in those 12 countries that I talked about, knowing that they can really easily cash those funds out and have it be immediately useful. And so we're chiseling away at this problem, and hopefully we'll get there soon so that this is possible for everyone in the world. And more so than, you know, just for P2P payments and remittances, one thing that makes me personally really excited about when it comes to making on and off ramping really, really easy is, you know, naturally there's been a lot of talk after FTX, you know, reminded us just how important self-custody is and how important, you know, the fact not my keys, not my crypto really is. It's a reminder that, you know, we want to move to a world where you don't have to trust institutions with your money. We want to enable exchanges that are really easy to use, but ultimately can be performed with full self-custody. And obviously we have DEXs today, but the main blocker for DEXs is cashing in and out into these applications. And so if we have a way to cash in and out in every country in the world into stablecoins, and maybe if we also add stablecoins for every currency in the world, and then like on Celo, if you can pay for gas with these stablecoins, Celo supports paying for gas with tokens, then you can create an experience where people are cashing into their wallet and then using a DEX to buy whatever crypto they want and hodl whatever crypto they want without ever having to give up their keys, without ever having to give custody of their funds to a third party. They can do it all with an experience that looks and feels like a centralized exchange, but that is fully self-custodial. And so I don't know about you, but I'm very excited for this future where we can enable these types of applications. And I think FiatConnect will help us get there. So thank you very much.